Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree Kermood. I called in to Pooil Vaaish Farm to speak to Stephen and Ray Gawne about their recent milk awards.
I talked to Neil Young from the Ronaldsway Met Office to find out if farmers are still using the vital support of the Ronaldsway facility. And also I went along and joined the Isle of Man bloodhounds on a mock chase around the north of the Isle of Man. Well, Kirree, firstly, any roofs or things blown off your sheds back home?
My golly, the big doors on the top cattle sheds there at the top of Orrisdale Hill, yes, they've come asunder and they've spent the last week trying to put them back together again. That Storm Barra's left a bit of damage in his wake this time.
It has, and it's come from an unusual direction, which is the strange thing, isn't it? But at least there's still plenty of hedges and things for any livestock that's out to find shelter, isn't it?
That's right, many trees were down on the Isle of Man, but I don't hear too much about the farmers fencing and livestock getting away, but it was glad it was only for the weekend.
Yes. Well, the weather is a vital part of the Isle of Man agricultural people and horticultural as well. And to get the latest about the storms and the trends and whether still people are using the facility at Ronaldsway, I spoke to Neil Young from the Ronaldsway Met Office. Well, firstly, Neil, it's been a rocky old time on the Isle of Man, and I suppose, does it make it worse that the wind's coming from a different direction than the prevailing one?
It does. Sort of Storm Arwen was a northerly, Storm Barra a southeasterly. What we get very used to is southwesterlies. So the different directions cause all sorts of different problems for all sorts of different people. Certainly the electricity network is fairly used to a southwesterly gale or severe gale. A northerly is very rare. We were looking at our windroses, and the number of hours of gale northerlies that we've had down here are very, very limited. We sort of get 1 or 2 hours a year on a stormy year. So whereas southwesterlies are really common, so southeasterlies aren't that common either. So a few days ago we had Storm Barra, and of course all of the problems that entailed around the island, accompanied by a fairly high tide as well.
And how have we fared compared to other parts with this storm? Because, I mean, how long ago does it originate? Because we seem to know it's coming.
This one was fairly unusual, that as it crossed the Atlantic, there was virtually nothing there. There was a low that was expected to develop just to the west of Ireland, explosive cyclogenesis, so it actually developed really, really quickly, deepened very quickly. But it all happened sort of 100 miles to the west of Ireland. So the mid-Atlantic, there was very little wind. And as that did develop, then it passed over Ireland, arrived in the Irish Sea. We got fairly close to the centre of it ultimately, where it then started to really slow down and started to fill. So yes, we got the wind. We got the wind for, half a day, 3/4 of a day. As it sort of then sat over the Irish Sea, we were in the slightly lighter winds, but it kept blowing over northern England and particularly the east of Scotland. So they actually got winds very similar to ours, but for a much longer time.
Right. And what about the rainfall that we've had? Is it like normal, or does it just feel as though there's been a bit more?
I think it's been so far through December. It's a bit up, obviously. In a December, it's not the wettest of months. October and November are the really wet months, and we're only halfway through yet, so we don't really want to tempt fate. But we did get a dry November, so the law of averages, we'll probably get a fairly wet December, but things could change. Don't quote me on that one.
No, we certainly won't. But all in all, the Isle of Man farmers here still relying quite a bit on the forecasts and chatting to you quite often, are they, Neil?
We do. We actually speak to sort of a lot of people at different times of year. When when there's the panic of snow, any sheep that are on high ground, wet weather for lambs. So people do speak to us quite a lot. A lot of people are shipping live animals now, and of course, from an animal welfare perspective, then they can only go in certain wind conditions. So that we speak to people about that quite a lot as well.
Right, so a unique part of the Isle of Man it's been, and of course your connection with Manx Radio here as well, with the live weather forecasts, and it is something that people have been so accustomed to the Isle of Man, and I must say, praise where praise is due, Neil. You and your team are pretty accurate with it.
Thank you for that. Sort of, yes, it is a science, but it isn't an exact science, so things have changed quite a lot. I was just commenting, I've been here just over 34 years, so I'm feeling very old at the moment. And I think the accuracy of the forecasts has increased dramatically over that time. And yeah, things still go slightly amiss. But what things happen to do these days is the timing changes slightly. And 20 years ago, if I said in 4 days' time that we were going to get something coming in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it came in sort of that morning, people were quite happy. Now, because the forecasts are becoming better, they are becoming much more accurate, and because of that, the expectations are higher, which perhaps means that if we try to put more detail on when we can, then that slight shift is much more noticeable.
Yes, I'm afraid it's 2021 and that's the way things go, Neil. But it's glad, that people do use it and appreciate it, and particularly the people in the farming world and horticultural side of the Isle of Man, as rightly say, with the animals as well.
Yes, so thank you. We're just thinking, we've been here for 75 years this year.
Wow, that's pretty incredible, and not still using the same abacuses and things like when you started, Neil.
There are one or two pieces of equipment that are the same. There's one piece of equipment that has only just been taken out of service that actually says "On His Majesty's Service" on it.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. But but all computerised now, I suppose, the trends from round about the world. And do you have to keep your eye on the southern hemisphere and things like that? Can that affect weather here?
We don't. Our colleagues in the British Met Office do. We can look at data worldwide. We actually have access to the European Centre for Medium Range Meteorology and the British Met Office models, as well as the American Global Forecast System models that we look at. But specific weather in various parts of the world, yes, we do, but more out of interest rather than professionally.
Indeed. Well, probably the weather changes more from the small area of the Isle of Man than it probably does in the whole of the southern hemisphere.
Sort of. It's I don't know. It's very windy down there, so much windy than up here. But yes, yeah. So weather anywhere is really interesting, but working here, I suppose I really should say that.
Neil Young from the Ronaldsway Met Office telling us about that, and still a vital part of hearing it on the radio, or people now with the facilities that they've got and the wonderful service that the Ronaldsway Met Office are supplying to the Isle of Man, isn't it?
It's absolutely crucial now that we get up to date weather, as it changes so blooming quickly, doesn't it? And like you say, the farmers there are governed by the weather, and the seasons have certainly changed from even when I was a child. We don't get those long periods of dry. You get a couple of days together dry and then wet again, and it's so terribly difficult to get the harvest reaped, and people are definitely changing their methods to try and fit in with the better seasons.
Yes, they are.
And talking about the bad weather there, Simon, I popped along to Pooil Vaaish, and it's right there on the coast at the bottom of Fisher's Hill, and my golly did Storm Barra give them a bit of a push around. And we hear from Stephen and Sheila Gawne. It is a corker of a day, Stephen. The sun is shining over the sea there, just right in front of the house, but I can't imagine it'll have been like that all this week.
No, it was a bit rough. Lost a couple of doors off sheds on the storm the other day. Not very easy to get them put back up on your own with a force 9. Biggest problem was trying to get the door open on the tractor.
But that is it, isn't it? Farmers are governed by the weather, and you have to keep going. And like to say today, it is one of the most picturesque parts of the island to farm in. And, well, this year obviously has proved it with the amount of awards you've won. The summer show, Sheila, that was just something else for you.
Oh, it was. It really was an accolade. Couldn't have done better. Never had such a successful year. But I do think it highlighted the alternative to the black and whites, that we'd got what we call the coloured breeds, and really put them on show. So I was glad about that, because people don't realise just the variety of breeds here on the island.
And that's it. And I suppose since you've been farming, obviously, Stephen, you took over from Father Raymond there. He was running 60 or 70 dairy cows. But it's changed somewhat since then.
Yeah, Sheila was still working full time. When we took over, I didn't think I could cope with 70 cows on my own. So we decided that we were going to cut them down to about 30 at that time. We also had 20 sucklers.
Right, I see.
We sort of went from there and then started experimenting with different breeds and crossbreeding and what have you, and we've now got 40 milkers, but the sucklers are down to 10 because we've started rearing all our own calves, and everything that we don't breed from go into the abattoir now.
Yeah, so it's obviously working, and with that has come these awards, Sheila, for the quality milk that these coloured breeds are producing.
Yeah, the coloured breeds produce the quality, the black and whites or the quantity. So we keep a good cross-section of both, so we get quantity and quality. So for us, it's a formula that's worked.
And this is it, especially for the terrain where you are. Every farm is different on the island, and here is the same again.
Yeah, they have to be hardy, a bit rugged, and have good feet, because it is rot stony down here, being so close to the sea. So yeah, they meet the criteria we need.
And out of the coloured breeds that you keep, do you have a favourite?
I have one or two. Yeah, you got to admire the jerseys, but also like the Ayrshires as well. And I've got a little inkling for the Guernseys, which I did have a crossbreed one, but I haven't. But like another Guernsey.
Yeah, but this said, Sheila, you've been obviously running these coloured breeds now for a good number of years, but you see people nowadays just taking a bit of a swing into the more crossbreeding, but you've been doing it for a long time.
Stephen and myself took over the farm 23 years ago, and we've been experimenting this way for about 20 years. So yeah, as soon as these new breeds came on, we've had Shorthorns, the Ayrshires, Montbelliards, brown Swiss, Swiss Viking Reds, you name it. Yeah. And we would give them a try and to see what works. And other people have seen that they're coming the fashion now, so they take less to keep the feed and everything. So, and our parlour isn't a large one, so they fit into the milking parlour as well. So that's another criteria we have to look for.
And down here, Stephen, you'd probably grow your own crops to feed the cows.
Yeah, we grow good silage. We grow barley, mainly for the straw. We do feed a bit of barley to the cows in the winter time, but most of the barley goes into feeding the followers to get them fat for the abattoir. We do bales and pit silage. The cows get bales from mid-July through till about beginning of November when we open the pit up. They're still out in the daytime at the moment. They hopefully will be for another couple of weeks, so they do get bales while they're out. But when they come in full time, it'll just be pit silage for them.
Yeah. But with the breeds that you've just come away from the awards, the Milk Association awards, and a bundle of silverware again.
Yeah, it's nice to pick up a cup or two. We got 3 this time. The cup for the best protein, the best butter fat, and the best average weighted milk price. So we have had them before, but it's always nice to get them again.
Yeah, it just confirms that what you're doing is right. And like you say, Sheila, it's that quality over quantity you're looking for.
It is, yes. And I don't think people realise what the chemistry that goes into it. the way we farm, we aim to put our milk into the cheese, as opposed to the liquid milk that you buy in your cartons. So yeah, that's how we work it. And those, when we're choosing the semen, that's what we aim for when we're choosing the sires.
Yeah, and that is so important, isn't it, to get that right genetic base?
Yeah, it does. It makes a whole lot of difference to everything then. Like I say, you've got the black and whites that your liquid milk is fine, but we do need the genetics, and you need to look at it. Again, it's a whole lot different science, which the general public don't realise, that when they just go and pick up the block of cheese or the carton of milk, on what goes behind it all to as a business.
Well, that's it. Just looking on the table here alone, it's all the documentation of the cows, you know, the full parentage. I bet you've got cows here, daughters here, aunties, you know, they're full families, aren't they?
Well, what we try to do is not buy many in. Although, you know, when you fellow farmers do retire or pack in for whatever reason, you do try and support them, but we do try and keep our own what we call followers, to go into the herd ourselves, and then you've got all the lineage there going all the way back. So yes, we can follow some way back.
And that is it, that attention to detail. But it's a real love and a passion, isn't it? All your cows probably have names.
Yes, they do. Most of them are polite as well. But yes, we do. And you've always got your favourites.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Grandsons even, chose, these are my three. Oh, and great. It was his jersey that got the champion jersey, so he's over the moon. And yeah, he was waiting, kept wondering when he was going to get a silver cup. And unfortunately, because of COVID, he couldn't make it over this year, so he's totally gutted. But he's chuffed that one of his jerseys has got the silver cup.
But isn't that lovely, Sheila, that you've got now grandchildren coming into this? They love being out on the farm with Stephen on the quad and at the shows themselves, helping you brush and wash the cows.
Yeah, we met our newest granddaughter. She was born in April last year. We hadn't met her, but Gemma brought her over, and she was totally enthralled with the show. She was going round, and all the animals totally, mesmerised by it all. So, yeah, we've got another trainee coming on.
Isn't that lovely? But now the time is come. Christmas is nearly here, and you're a very busy lady with the farmers' markets, getting the vegetables ready for Christmas. The sprouts, you can't beat them.
No, you can't. Yeah, I always say, so winter time when you got frost on them, come ready frozen. So, so match my fingers. But yeah, it's another. The DEFRA was saying to try and diversify to help. When we lost the red meat derogation. So this isn't something else that we do, and we fit in around the milking, really. Yeah. So it just brings an extra little bit of income in.
This is lovely to see. Your father, Stephen, he's still down here overseeing, making sure you're doing it all right. Raymond, he's a real character.
Yeah, he's 88 now.
My word.
And he comes down every day, something to do, little jobs wants to do. Yeah. Gets his milk, and when he's had enough, he goes home. He likes the tractor work in the summer. He's good on the bale wrapper, which is handy.
And he was a mean ploughman in his day, I do believe.
Oh yeah, he was good ploughing. Philip and myself, when we were kids, he'd disappear for a weekend, and he'd be gone away ploughing. And we didn't know where he was. He just disappeared.
Yeah, that's it. And
that was quite a regular occurrence. As long as he brought us something back, we didn't mind.
Yeah, but having that family base, it's what it's all about at Pooil Vaaish here. It's all about family. You're all pulling together. There's a lot of work going on this farm, whether it's the beef, the dairy, the vegetables. Having your dad there doing the farm, the baling and the different tractor work. It all pulls together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it takes a lot of work running a farm. The public don't really know how much work has to go into all the different stuff you have to do. There's an awful lot more paperwork now. I sometimes wonder what my grandfather would think if he was around, at the amount of paperwork there is these days. but it's got to be done.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it, Stephen, that you've won the awards here, the silverware and stuff like that, but also having the accreditations like the Red Tractor, it's that confirmation and reassurance to the consumer, the person that's buying, whether it's the milk or the veg, that it's done properly.
Yeah, you've got to do it right these days. There's so many regulations, and if you don't follow them, you're in trouble. So you've got to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard work. It makes the job a lot harder than it should be, but you've got to do it.
Yeah. And the passion that you guys have for the land and the farm, and it going day and night, it'll never change, will it?
No, it won't. We do what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice. Somebody has to do it, and it's nice that there's the history there. It's like Stephen's family have been farming down here for over 60 years. So it's there. It's what you've put into it. Yeah, it's your baby.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think every farmer will say the same. Yeah. That if they sell up, that it's part of them that go. It's not a job. It's a way of life. And that's the only way you can explain it to people. That, some people go up, get up in the morning, go to the office. They can walk out and shut the door and forget, switch the computer off. Whereas here you can't. And it is very much a way of life.
That was Stephen and Sheila Gawne from Pooil Vaaish farm there down at the bottom of Fisher's Hill. What a lovely setting that is.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been too bad, I don't think, from this particular storm, would it? I suppose they're well used to it with the normal prevailing winds.
That's right. It's right on the coast there, and looking out over, like I said to Stephen, it was just a beautiful view out. But on a bad day, I think you'd know about it. And it is always extra hard. It always is a challenge when the weather is against you, the elements battling away there. And like Stephen said, it was just bad enough getting the tractor door open.
Yes, you've got to be careful indeed. Well, of course, the hunts on the horses and chasing foxes from years ago is a thing of the past, really. But the people still like to get out and have a mock thing to chase. Luckily, it wasn't me on this occasion. But the Isle of Man bloodhounds were out and about up the north of the Isle of Man, and I popped along to find out what is behind it all. Well, Fran Charmer, you've got an important job today.
I have, yes. I think so.
Now, is it the huntsman?
Yes, I'm the huntsman, so my role is to basically work the hounds, look after them, and just make sure they get to each point safely.
Now, obviously, people will be thinking, it's a bit worrying putting the hounds along with the horses and people, but they're well used to it?
Oh yeah, our hounds are well socialised. They're socialised with children, people, other dogs, horses, all kinds of scenarios. So I'm pretty confident. They are over friendly, let's say. Yeah.
Now the trip today, it's a bit of a new route for you, is it?
It is. We've got some new land. Kindly from the Clarks. So it is exciting to get nice new land, and it's handy up in Kirree because it's usually nice and flat up here as well. So it'll be exciting to see how they go on it.
Now, what do you have? Obviously the days of foxes and things are gone, but what's the way it works nowadays?
Well, we usually use a runner, we call it. So, but our runner today couldn't make it. Maybe Christmas party tonight, I'm not sure. So my mum at the minute is pulling around a rag. It's basically a t-shirt she's been wearing. And the hounds they have been taught and bred, they will track a human scent. So hopefully the weather won't hinder them, and because sometimes winds and the wet ground can affect their scenting. So we'll just see how they go on new ground, and hopefully they'll pick the scent up and be away.
So in a way, I suppose the hounds that you've got here are sort of trained quite a lot like police dogs, I suppose.
Yes, they are. Bloodhounds can be taught to track a human scent. They are taught as puppies not to chase other animals. We haven't had any issues with that. Plus, over here we don't have obviously foxes or anything as such to hunt anyway. But they will track a human scent quite well and confidently.
Now, is it a competition or is it like a group effort?
No, it's only like a group effort. Anyone's welcome to come along and take part, and we all look out for each other. And we all encourage each other to try a jump maybe if they want to, but they don't have to. And and we just look out for each other and have fun.
Is it quite a long outing that you do? Because it seems a few miles.
Yeah, it kind of varies. Today's hunt isn't too long because we were waiting for heavy rain and really bad weather. But usually we can be out for anything up to 2.5 to 3.5 hours. Right. So today it should be about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, I think.
Right, and what about the horses, the people, the hounds? They don't mind the weather?
No, hounds will go out and absolutely anything. I have to exercise them every day of the week anyway, and they were out in that high winds we had on Tuesday. I was just walking them around the fields. They don't care. Horses aren't too fussed either. No, as long as we keep moving and we keep them warm, and then when we get home we get them dried and warm again, then no, animals really don't mind the bad weather.
And what about the pace of it? I mean, obviously you'll be on roads and then on fields and things like that. Is the whole running or trotting, galloping involved in it?
Yes, we do have a little bit of road work today. Obviously that'll be done, walk, and we do that safely. In the fields, the ground's very dry here today, so we can go quite quickly. We've got field masters that walk the lines and know the ground conditions. So obviously if it's a bit wet or we think it's a bit more dangerous, we will walk or trot those. So we do walk our ground properly and we make sure our riders get round safely.
Yeah, but there's some interesting terms I was reading about. I haven't got the piece of paper with them written on.
Right, yeah. Well, you've got a couple. You call a hound a couple, so that's 2. So today we have 2.5 couple out today. So just to think the other terminology, we've got our field master, you call that's Laura today. So the field must stay behind them for their own safety, like I was saying, because of ground conditions and such. Me as the huntsman, I've got my whipper in here, Ellen Charmot's my cousin. She's with me and helps me.
The whipper?
Yeah, the whipper in. Yeah, it sounds worse than what it is. It's only just to make sure the hounds don't run off somewhere they're not meant to. If there's an instant where they're chasing something else, Ellen is there to shoo them away from it. You know, it's someone with me to make sure I can work the hounds safely.
Yeah, and it seems a fantastic idea because it gives quite a few people a job to do, isn't it? Keeps the interest.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I've usually got an extra whipper in today, but she couldn't make it. But yeah, it's just, we're only out to have fun. There's no competition or anything like that. So hopefully it'll be a good day and the rain holds off.
There are some of the people that were involved in the Isle of Man Bloodhounds hunt event that happened at the north of the Isle of Man in a new venue for them last weekend. And it was great, the enthusiasm that was there, and didn't deter them. Even the horses and everything are all so excited by something different.
Oh, they really are. And it's just a blooming great excuse to get out and ranch around on a farm in the mud and through the hedges and over the gates and whatever else. And the horses and kids and everybody involved just love it. And like you say, the days of chasing foxes is long gone by, but we don't even have foxes on the Isle of Man, do we? But I remember as a youngster, the best cross-country runner in our class used to take the scent and drag it up across our farm, out across Aragon Moor and up the coast towards the Aragon. And by golly, he was good to run, and the horses weren't far behind, or the hounds.
No, probably better on it, though. There we go, all exciting stuff. That's it, though, for this week's Countryside. We're back next week with more. So until then, me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.